Let me try to explain the networking in VirtualBox with the help of network diagram. For example, this is your laptop and this laptop is connected to the internet here. And here you have installed the VirtualBox, and in VirtualBox you have created one virtual machine. Now, how this virtual machine will be connected to the internet, or how this virtual machine will be connected to the host machine, which is your laptop, or how this virtual machine will be connected to other virtual machines within the VirtualBox. This is VirtualBox where all these virtual machines are configured or created. How the networking works in this virtual machine. First of all, if it is not connected to any of the network, which means that there is network adapter which is created, but it is not connected. So not connected means that Oracle VirtualBox network interface card is present, but there is no connection. The way actually we are connecting the cable to the physical computer. So this configuration where network interface is configured here, but it is not connected, is called the not attached. Then is the NAT. NAT means the network address translation. To simplify this concept, so this particular virtual machine, if the NAT is created here, it is directly connected to the internet with the help of your laptop. The IP address which it will get, it will be its own IP address, which will be NATed to the public network. And here you can also define the port forwarding, which means that any outbound traffic that will come via your Wi-Fi network adapter or the network adapter configured in your host machine, that can be forwarded to the machine here. Now, what is bridge networking? Bridge networking is different than the NAT. In this one also, it is connected directly to the internet with the help of your host machine. But here, the traffic from the internet is not routed to this particular VM, which means that you cannot define any port forwarding over here. In the NAT mode, you can define the port forwarding into this particular connection, but in bridged mode, you cannot define the port forwarding. So it will be simply bridged to the internet with the help of host machine, and you will be directly getting the internet access. You will be provided the IP address here from the DHCP server. So DHCP server will be providing the same IP address range to this and same IP address range to this. For example, if the IP address which is provided to this laptop is 192.168.240.12, so same IP address range will be provided to this one for 240. For example, 111. So it could be in the same range in the bridge network, which means that the same network will be connected or will be bridged to this particular network. So any IP address where, for example, this one is 192.168.240.1. This is the gateway IP address. So same range IP address will be provided here and same will be provided here. But in NAT, it doesn't work in that way. In NAT, you will be having its own IP address. It could be anything, for example, 10.0.0.2, for example. So this will have its own IP address. It will not be provided by the DHCP server. It will in NAT, it will have its own subnet, its own IP range. So its own DHCP server. So it will virtually get the IP address. But at the same time, you can also define the port forwarding, which means that any port which has been forwarded from the internet to this particular laptop, it can be forwarded to this particular VM with the help of NAT, if NAT is configured over here. So bridge network will be, of course, giving the same IP address to this particular network. Then is the internal networking. So what is internal networking? Internal networking is simple, which means that this particular VM is not connected to outside the virtual box, neither to the host nor to the internet. So this particular network is isolated from the external network. And if you create internal networking, if you assign the same IP address here, so these all will be connected internally. This will be same as virtual switch. Wherever you define the internal networking, so those machines will be communicating internally. So this way, for example, if I define the virtual network or internal networking, so it will be creating the internal networking between these virtual machines, but these virtual machines will not be communicating outside the network until we define NAT, until we define bridge networking, or until we define host only networking. Host only networking, by its name, it is extremely simple, which means that the connection between the virtual machine and your host machine. So in this case, your host machine could be your PC, your laptop, wherever VirtualBox is installed. So which means that the communication between your host machine or your laptop and the virtual machines inside the VirtualBox will be possible, but these will not be communicating to the internet. There will be no bridging between your virtual machine and the internet with the help of laptop. These machines will only be communicating to the laptop, and laptop will be able to communicate to these machines, but these machines will not be communicating to the internet. In internal networking, virtual machines are only able to communicate within itself, but they are not able to communicate to the outside network. And then is the cloud network, which means that if you have any cloud network, for example, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, the virtual machines inside your VirtualBox can become the subnet of the cloud infrastructure. This is experiment only right now. It is not recommended to use right now. Then there is a generic network. So generic networking is rarely used, so you won't be using this particular option in your VirtualBox. The methods which I have talked about is that if it is the internal networking, so virtual machines will only be able to communicate within themselves. And if it is the NAT, so it will be indirectly able to communicate to the internet, and all the ports can also be forwarded to the virtual machine. Host only networking means that this virtual machine will be able to communicate with the host machine, but it will not be able to communicate to the external network. So in bridge networking, it is able to communicate to the host machine and to the internet also. But the IP addresses will be directly assigned to this particular machine from the host machine DHCP server. So wherever host machine is getting the IP address from, the virtual machine will also be getting the IP address in the bridged mode. And in NAT mode, it will have its own IP address, its own DHCP server where it will be getting the IP address. So mainly you will be using four options. One will be the host only, which is communication between them. Then is the internal, which is communication within the virtual machines. Then is the bridged mode, where virtual machine will be able to communicate to the network, and the DHCP server will be providing the IP address here also and here also. And then is the NAT, where VirtualBox will be working as a DHCP server, and it will be providing the IP addresses to this machine. Network address will be translated to the public network. So port forwarding can be done between VM and host, and port forwarding can also be done between VM and internet. So this is the NAT service or NAT. Hope you have understood this concept of networking in VirtualBox. We'll be creating a virtual machine here, which will be working as pfSense, and this pfSense will have two network interface cards. One will be connected to the NAT, will be connected to the internet, and then it will also be connected to this particular virtual switch, where one of the virtual ports will be connected to the NAT and internet, and from here one of the ports will be connected to the internal network of the virtual machines. So this will have internal networking also, and this will also be able to have the connection to the external network, which means that all these virtual machines will be communicating to the internet or to the host machine with the help of pfSense. So pfSense will become the gateway for all these virtual machines within the VirtualBox, and it will also work as a firewall, as a gateway, as a router, and all the external traffic will come to the VirtualBox with the help of this pfSense, or any traffic which will pass to the internet or which will go to the host laptop or to the internet will go through the pfSense. So your pfSense will become the gateway for all your virtual machines within the VirtualBox. Let us continue to the next video and understand how the pfSense can be configured and installed on VirtualBox.